Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
This is the MFS Wellness Podcast, and I am Mike Sinopoli. And on this episode, I am going to be discussing a very hard situation, one that I just recently went through and endured, and that is the loss of a pet. I have two dogs, one of which I had to put down last week, a week ago today, Monday the 17th. My dog, Lola, was showing some signs of slowing down, some bloating, just not being herself, not able to jump up to the couch anymore. She was a little Shih Tzu Bichon mix, 8 to 10 pounds or so. Adorable dog, wouldn't hurt a fly, knew how to make herself comfortable. Just a great companion, and you know, I couldn't be more grateful that she was, you know, part of my life and that I was basically her whole life. So, you know, it's just something about these animals, man. They just get to you, you know. Their innocence, their unconditional love, the way that they just operate as animals, you know, for as irritable as I could get. And believe me, I carry a lot of guilt with that. We'll talk about that today. But there are times, you know, you always, even with your kids, you know, if you don't have a pet, with your kids or with a parent or a sibling or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife, whatever it is, you know, you even though you love them, you get irritated with them and you say things you don't mean and all of that. So, you know, I have a little bit of guilt from that, just from yelling at them for little things, and, you know, feel bad about it. I really do. And it sucks. But you know what? Ultimately, what was there was unconditional love on both sides. There was never a minute I didn't love my dog. And, you know, taking her in to that vet Monday night, didn't think it was going to be the time, but had my thoughts and ideas that it would be. I thought maybe they would try some meds and see if we could reduce the swelling in her stomach, or you know, make her feel like a little bit like herself again, and I don't do something to extend her life a bit that didn't require surgery. But there was no surgery available for what she had going on. I won't get into the details of it, but it's just, you know, old age, 13 and a half. I did have a little bit of like dog phobia, not afraid of dogs, but afraid of losing them, running away. When she was one, she did run away, and it was a very long 25 minutes that I couldn't find this dog. And fortunately, I drove around. My mom was at my house at that time. Drove around the neighborhood, scared, like sick to my stomach. And you know, she's so small, and you know, there's been coyotes in the area, and there's cars and all that. And you're just like, what the fuck? This little dog is just alone out in that big ass world, and it's like, what the hell? Long story short, driving around, a couple's walking down the path of one of the streets near the house and said, oh yeah, we saw a dog. We tried to get close, but she ran away and went to the field, blah, blah, blah. So I go to the field, and there's fencing around the field, and she was in the corner of the fencing, literally just standing there frozen, scared. And I was like, you poor thing. So I just slowly approached her. I said, you stay there. And I picked her up, grabbed her, took her home. That was in 2012. Jeez. And, you know, she'd gotten out a couple other times, but never made it too far, which was good, because that was the one where she ran. She flew out the door. So it set me up to some trauma, because I already had that fear. I was a little resistant to getting dogs at first, just because I figured it was a lot of work and I cared too much. But, you know, and it was a lot of work and I did care too much. And that's all right. But, you know, I have zero regrets. And, you know, it's just changed this loss of pet, you know, even though it's something that happens every day. You know, there's things that happen every day. We hear about them, and we see them maybe in the news, or we see them through friends and others. And we, you know, the closer it hits to you, the more, you know, emotional you become over it. So even though, unfortunately, you know, death is part of life and that's just what it is, this obviously happening, it feels like the world is just like caves in, you know. It's like the world should stop and like mourn my dog. Everyone stop. What are you doing? How could you go to work today, you know? anyways, but it was tough. So, if you've gone through it, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's the overall innocence and unconditional love, like I said, that they provide that makes it so hard to do. They just, and their lives are so short in comparison to ours. This doesn't seem right in some cases. So, look, I'm not going to go here on a very long episode, I don't think. I say that a lot, but I do. I didn't know what to do with this, but this is basically, I wanted to come here and, give a tribute to my dog, Lola. She's great. And just talk about some things, I don't know a lot about this, coping with the loss of a pet. So I found a website here. It's called bestfriends.org. And this is written by Linda Harper. And she says that having very strong and profound feelings of grief after the loss of a pet is very normal. Here are some of the common reactions you might have when your pet dies and some strategies to help you get through these painful emotions. So what I'll do is just kind of read through these things. If you have a pet and this day is going to come inevitably one day, maybe this is something that you can, a starting point for you or something of how you can cope with this and feel good. I'll give you what she says, and I'll tell you what I'm doing for my dog, and we'll go from there. So she says, intense sadness. You feel devastated and brokenhearted. You might cry a lot. You say, my buddy should be here. I can't accept that he is gone. Time will help you heal. Allow yourself to feel the feelings, but if it becomes too painful, take a break and distract yourself by doing something altogether different. It makes total sense. Intense sadness is 100% a thing if you give a shit, if you care. I have that. Still to this day, it's been a week, and it's, I'll tell you straight up, I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I have been crying a lot, and it is what it is, man. I'm not going to hide it. I might even cry here. I don't know. So, it's a lot of devastation. And you just distracting myself. I do that. I've been playing video games, and I also have my other dog here, who's I'm glad she's here, but it also brings about its own sadness, and because seeing her, you see my other dog. What is she thinking? I don't know. we don't have that. We have a different bond with animals. We can't sit and have a conversation with them and ask them how they're feeling. We can't have a therapy session with them. And if we do, it's us getting our stuff out, and they just kind of sit there and look at us. That's why they're so great. They'll probably just sit there and listen. But she's I don't know what the thing that my other dog is doing since her name is Sydney. So I'll just call them by their names. The Sydney's been going out to the back and looking around, sniffing around just on the stoop. And I feel like she's out there looking for her, and it brings a lot of sadness to me. And, it was very cold that Monday when she'd passed. And, I had let her out that day, and there was ice frozen on my front stoop. And, the dog wasn't feeling like doing the stairs or being out in the cold because I don't think she felt great. So she would just pee right there. So, you bring the dog back, and, you bring the dog to the vet, and you come back home, and it's like you're just like blown away with this weird void in your house and the sadness. And then, you look out to your back porch, and there's your dog's pee still sitting there fresh in the snow. So it's like those little types of things. And then, so Sydney would go out there, and the first time I, had let her out the next day, she sniffed that pee spot. And then she looked up at me, and it was just a very sad moment. But she's helping me get through this better, I think. And I think I'm bothering her at this point with attention, but that's all right. Guilt. The next one she goes on here to say in the article, guilt is guilty feelings keep us from having to accept the reality of loss. We think if only. This is a normal feeling, but we have to remember the good life we gave to our furry friends. That we did the best we could. And you know what? This is the one that I stick to the most because I feel a lot of guilt. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes, dogs, they bark a lot. Two dogs, they are yappy. They bark a lot. And, sometimes you're just, overstimulated with other things. You're going through all kinds of other stuff in life. But you know what? They're there for you. And I feel guilt because they were in my dog Lola, who had passed now, has she was having accidents in the house, and that's a sign, losing their bowels a bit. And it was not fun to clean. It was a lot of, diarrhea and hardened to the floor sometimes if I didn't get home in time or it was overnight or whatever. And, there were some times where I was frustrated. I wasn't like scolding the dog, and I would never hurt an animal and never did. But I would just be frustrated and like whatever. And then one day I stopped in my tracks and it hit me. It says in my head, "Oh, you're dying." And I just didn't bitch about the shit anymore. So I just stopped bitching. I was like, you know what? We're gonna do our best. You're gonna, it just that moment just softened me and just stopped me from doing that, from bitching about it, from pissing and moaning. And with divorce, divorced I am, and I have the dogs. It was just an agreement. The place I live in is better for them. I'm also very protective, so I actually just said, yeah, I want that. So I took it upon myself, and no regrets. Even though I had to have conversations with my ex about sharing some time with the dogs so I could get a little relief. I'm glad I never did. And I do feel guilt about that, but like I say, I do revert back to all the good times, the petting, the just the fun times, the laughs, the time in the backyard together, everything we did. So so I take the guilt away and realize that I had given this dog a great life, and I also think about the time that I just explained about when she ran away, about how that could have been, that was 12 years ago. That dog could have been gone for 12 years. But since we went out and found her and protected her, and then we gave her that other 12 and a half years that she got. So I thank God every day. I'm not a religious man, but I did pray that day when she ran away, and I thanked God, and I did go to church that weekend, believe it or not. So I gave a shit, and so that helps my guilt. But I wish I was maybe a little nicer and less protective sometimes of them and let them have a little more fun. But what can you do? So now I'm just gonna do the best I can with Sydney over here and see what we do. Anger, she goes on to explain, anger is an emotion that can be directed at ourselves or a vet. We might feel resentment towards our other pets or people who do not seem to understand. I don't have anger right now. I can see that people would, depending on, the scenario of what happened with their pet. But luckily, anger is a feeling I don't have from this. So I'll breeze over it. But hey, if you're angry, she says, to let go of the angry feelings and begin to find peace, focus on the feelings of love and acceptance shared in your special bond, or reminisce about the joyful time you had together. So let the anger go, because anger is not going to bring nothing back. So just let it be. Anxiety. You might wonder, can I get through this? The answer is yes. Give yourself some time and space. Be gentle with yourself. Take it a day at a time. Give yourself what you need. Comfort food. I don't know about that one, but naps, quiet time, day off, time with your friends. Talk to people who understand. Talking about your feelings with others, who have gone through the same loss. There are people who understand. So go out there and talk to some people, and let them know what you're going through. I put this on social media, and I've been, wanting to bitch about social media, and of course, there's a double-edged sword to everything. But you know what? I, was able to share some photos on social media of my dog. I got some really nice messages, comments on the post, and direct messages. And I thank everybody for those. They were really helpful. And I'm not saying that just as like, words and lip service. I literally mean that. They helped me. They actually did. Was reading some stuff and, whatever it is about, dogs. I'm starting to think to also to alleviate my guilt a little bit, and just I kind of rekindled my thoughts of doing some charity work for dogs and cats and pets. I used to do the Paws Chicago run. Paws is a no-kill shelter in Chicago, and every year for a few years I would do their run and raise money. I think I'm bringing that back this year. I'm going to start with a smaller one and see what I can do. I don't think I have the mentality right now to, volunteer at a shelter. I feel I would take every animal home with me right now. That's kind of how I feel. So I'm not going to do that yet. Plus I get super sad if I see I can't walk away. I'm just going to be like, these dogs got to come with me. So fuck that. I'm not doing it. Not yet, but I'll get over that. So, that, and I don't care what anybody, another thing, and I'll get to there's 11 life lessons that our dogs can teach us that I'll get to after this. But one that this dog has taught me in her passing especially has been to who gives a shit what everybody thinks? Who cares? Just like dogs, they don't give a shit. They go out with their ass in the air and shit all over we don't care who's looking. They shit all over the yard, and they just do what they got to do. And they don't care what anybody thinks of them. Granted, their brains are not the same as ours, but hey, who cares? Like, we don't have to care what people think. So I created an Instagram for my dog, and I'm sharing old pictures, and I like it, and it makes me feel good. And I share good messages in the story, and I'm liking it, and it makes me happy. And I'm not hurting anybody. So if you don't like it, fuck off, I guess. So whatever, that's what I'm doing. That's something I'm doing. I'm also creating a little memorial for her. I got her ashes a few days ago, and there's a shelf in my living room where I'm going to be putting some little memorabilia for her. And eventually I will get a tattoo. I just am struggling with what to do. I don't want to be cliche. I don't want to be over the top. I don't know what to do. So I'm coming up with an idea for a memorial tattoo for my dog. So these are some things I'm doing to alleviate guilt and anxiety, and also create a remembrance for something that was very important to me in my life. And the last thing she puts here is waves of grief. It's normal. You might start to feel better, and then you feel yourself crash again. And it's true. And I think that goes with grief, with anything. Grief is strictly love that you can't give. That's what that is. So the harder you grieve, the more love you had for that. So you feel that feeling, and let it come. Let it come. Who cares? Don't try to fight that. Just let the waves come, let the tears fall, and just do that, because otherwise you're bottling it up and you're going to hurt yourself. So not in a, weird suicidal way, but like in a way, it doesn't feel good to hold in emotions. So don't do that. You won't forget your pet, but there will come a time where you'll be able to remember your loved ones with more smiles and joy rather than tears and sadness. So yeah, I'm working my way to that myself. It was bad days right after, and, kind of still is, but also just kind of more into like bad moments and sad moments. But, it's, just sometimes, you just, those couple mornings, those first few mornings, after she'd passed, you have that minute when you wake up, not even minute, like maybe like, I don't know, 10 to 15 seconds where you're just not thinking of anything, but you're awake, you're conscious, but your thoughts haven't started yet. And then all of a sudden, boom, you remember the reality you're in of what's going on. And this, happens with all kinds of different hard, traumatic things in life. You remember what's going on, and, you want to just start crying, or, if you're depressed or whatever, you want to go back to sleep, because that's where you don't think about this stuff. So, that's some of the ways here that this doctor says to cope with pet loss and the healing strategies. It's anything very similar to if a loved one passes away, I'd say. So yeah, that's what I'm doing to get through this sort of thing. It's tough, and I don't care, like I said, what anybody thinks. If they think I'm being a bitch, then let them. I don't care. Not at all. So anyways, here's 11 important life lessons pets can teach us. Okay, this is by Mirjam Mainland. Okay, I guess. Let me see. Hold on, let me click the name. I don't know what that means, but I have to give credit where credit is due. So this is 11 bullet points, and I'm just going to read them through and give my thoughts on them really quick. So what you can learn from your pets, all right? Because I'm learning a lot about myself through this, and first one is being present and living in the moment. If you ever look at your dogs, I know their brains are wired differently, but we can live in the moment, and we can just focus on our current situation, and they're just, if you notice your animals, they live in what they're doing right now. Whatever's happening right now, that is their mode and their excitement and their level of just thinking. They're just in the moment and they're present. And we need to do that as humans a lot more. I know I do, because we are always living in the past and we're getting depressed from that, or we're living in the future and getting anxious from that. If you just stay in the moment, boy, that's a cliched white noise statement that we just can't seem to grasp, huh? Very difficult, especially in today's world. But gratitude. Pets are thankful for cuddling with their owners, for being fed every day. I mean, we'd assume they're grateful. I don't know if they're actually grateful, because I don't know what they think. I mean, some people think that they're smarter than they are. Some don't. But like, can you be grateful as an animal? If you're getting fed, if you've always been fed, perhaps maybe a stray or an animal with a less than good life at first and then found its way to a loving home, perhaps can feel gratitude, maybe, because they know the difference. Our conscious brains may not know it sometimes, and even humans don't get it. But even if we've had it well forever, we can understand, not firsthand, but understand that people don't. So it's just more of a understanding type thing and a awareness that we have. Number 3 is make time to play. Pets love playing around. They sleep, they eat, they play. They got the life, right? So we as people, we need to start making more time to have fun. I know I do. These last 5 years have been tough. So making time to have fun almost brings a guilt to me, almost like I'm neglecting something. I have this feeling in me of I need to get something done, or I need to check on my kids, or I need to do this or that. And I just have a hard time focusing on truly like living in the moment and having fun. So those are 2 things right there. Take walks. Dogs love going on walks. My father loved to walk the dogs. He would do it all the time. I never really did too much, just because of my overprotectiveness and fear and laziness. And just overall, I don't know, the way they would walk was frustrating to me. They would kind of pull a lot and gag themselves. So I was just like, you know what, let's just go play in the backyard instead. So, but no, take walks as a person. You know what? It's very beneficial, especially when the weather gets nice. We got to start making that a priority on so many levels. I've talked a lot about that. Enjoy the journey. I say that to a lot of my clients about the process of fat loss or lifestyle change. If you're not enjoying the journey, what good is the destination? Because the destination is just flat. I think the journey is everything. So that's dogs, like when they're in the car, they just are looking around outside and put their head out the window with their tongue out and smiling, and they just kind of enjoy the ride. So the ride itself is important, and it's another cliche thing that we don't seem to really pick up and grasp. And if you have, good for you. 6 is forgive and stop holding grudges. That's a great one, because I've never been what I say, upset, or I've never yelled really at my dogs or anything like that. I yelled, but I was told them to shut up, obviously, because they just bark out the window like crazy. So but I'll be like, hey, shut up, hey, stop, or whatever. Or I'm never super mean to them, but they've always come back to me and they just cuddle up next to you, wag their tail, and let them pet you. So they just forgive. They're just like, hey, I'm back. Some obviously dogs have issues. And I'm not going to go into talking about animal abuse on this, because that is not a subject I want to discuss at all ever. But the awareness needs to be there. So number 7 would be overcome your fears. Animals that can overcome their fears through love and kindness. She states that she got a 14-week-old kitten, and after the breeder left her with me, she stayed underneath my dining room table for 2 hours. So I cuddled myself up on the couch and let her adapt to the new environment. Within a few hours, she carefully approached me, and before I knew it, she made the jump up onto my tummy. With enough attention, patience, and love, people can overcome their fears as well. So that's a good one. Animals, they just adapt to a situation, overcome some fears, and change it up. And man, even my dog, and I knew she wasn't feeling well, but man, she just adapted to stuff, and just I don't know, it was amazing. It's like they don't complain, it seems. It's like they just don't have it in them to complain. That's one great thing about animals, is they don't seem to complain. Like humans, we love to complain. Accept yourself. Pets don't worry about their looks. They don't worry about any of this, bullshit vanity crap that we do as people. I know we're a different species, so it's completely different. But, I mean, look at them. They don't give a shit. Why should we? I mean, care about yourself, obviously, but don't obsess about it. And don't hurt your own insides over it all, and get down on yourself. They don't get down on their looks, and they go down on who likes them and all that shit, and who cares what we're doing. Number 9 is unwind and relax. Yeah, have you ever seen your dog just sleeping on the couch and shit and just comfortable as hell? Like, man, I wish I was doing that, That's something else. We need to unwind and relax. The society we're in doesn't really, lend itself to that. It feels like, hustle culture is dominant, and we are just programmed to work our asses off and do things and constantly becoming more and more and more. And it's just like never enough. But the dog, they don't care about that. They just find a comfy spot on the couch, chill, and take it easy. Number 10 is to be loyal and trustworthy. This is something we can definitely learn. We know dogs have a loyalty to them for their owners, and it's an amazing quality. And lastly is love unconditionally. That's something that we don't see a lot in human beings. So your pet will love you unconditionally. You don't need to deserve their love. Whether you just yell at them because they did something you don't like, or you're in a bad mood, or having a bad day, your pet is still happy and proud of you, or around you. Probably proud of you too. I suck at reading, by the way. Loving someone unconditionally isn't an easy task, but it can give you so much in return. So we can learn a lot from these dogs and from our pets. So, that's cool. I like that. I think that's, just a great way to look at it. I know it doesn't fully correlate because we are a different species. So don't, take it too literal, but there are little things that you can pick up on that they're doing that you're not, or I'm not. And maybe go ahead and, implement into your life. So, yeah, so that's it. Just some ways, to cope with the loss of a pet. I do want everyone that's listening to know that, you can contact me about anything. And it's not just nutrition. Don't contact me about religion. Not yet. Nutrition and fitness is great. But, if you've gone through something like a divorce, loss of pet, anything of the sort, and you think you just need someone to talk to, I'm not a professional, but if you need someone that is there, you can contact me. I will give you my contact info here shortly. I do want to let you guys know too, that I am kind of parlaying this episode with another one. I thought of a friend of mine who does fostering of animals, I believe dogs for sure, and maybe cats. But we're going to talk to her because I've just always wondered, I've always respected those who foster animals. I really respect that. As a guy who gets pretty attached to those furry creatures, I don't know how you can live with it, take care of it, and then let it go somewhere else. I just feel like I'd be attached. So we're going to talk about that, the mentality around it, how to get started, the pros to it, what's difficult about it, how rewarding it can be, how it helps the population of dogs and cats and pets. So I'm excited to do that. That'll probably be next week. So that's coming up. You can contact me, like I said. Sorry, this has been a tough episode for me to do. So if I'm wordy or whatever, that's why. It's at MFS Wellness. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Mike at mfswellness.com is my email. And, so if you've lost a pet in your life, I feel for you. I'm here to talk. This one's been for my pal Lola. I love her, and I'm, grateful she was my dog. To those people out there who have ever said the statement, "It's just a dog," kindly go fuck yourself. And until we do another episode, we will talk to you at that time.